Hello to you all and welcome to IMPROVATE's and SpaceCom's Communication Africa 2021 conference. IMPROVATE is a platform for creating long-lasting connections, enabling change-makers in technology and decision-makers in government. To make progress through innovation, IMPROVATE is all about finding solutions and sparking collaborations that improve the quality of life for people around the world. SpaceCom is an international communication service provider and the owners of the Amos satellite fleet. SpaceCom's most recent satellite, the Amos 17, is the most advanced satellite available now for Africa. Today we'll be discussing the opportunities for development in African nations and dive into new technologies and satellite-based communication solutions, aiming to enable governments to extend their service reach, drive growth, and advance the African nations in all aspects of life. Joining us today from the United Kingdom is our keynote speaker, Tony Blair. He served as United Kingdom Prime Minister from 1997 until 2007, and today is the founder and chair of the Tony Blair Institute for Global Change. Also with us today here in the studio in Tel Aviv is Mrs. Irina Nevzlin, IMPROVATE founder and chair, and our partner in this conference, Mr. Dan Zaitchik, SpaceCom CEO, former Israeli Minister of Communication, Mr. Yoaz Hendel, and Jabdi Massima, Tanzanian ambassador to Israel. Also in this broadcast is Aviv Ronai, VP of Marketing and Product at Novelsat, Ari Snai, Head of International Finance from Bank Leumi, and Mr. Yariv Cohen, CEO of Ignite Power. As always, watching along with us are representatives of investment funds from around the world who are looking to invest in Israeli innovation. Today, more than ever, always-on, high-quality communications are a fundamental requirement for any modern society and economy. Satellite communication enables a wide range of government services like border supervision, post services, and ID issuing through vital services like education, health, employment, and security. When it comes to the deployment of communication infrastructure that connects all areas, urban and rural, to the economic and social centers of the country, satellite stands out as the most reliable enabling infrastructure, and today also as a very cost-effective one. SpaceCom is an international communication service provider that specializes in satellite communication and the proprietary owner and operator of the known Amos satellite fleet. Its recent addition, the Amos 17, is an advanced, fully digital and high-throughput satellite designed specifically for Africa's unique and growing needs. Operating since 1992, the company has built a strong standing as an innovator in its field and serves as a service to partner its customers, providing satellite connectivity services, managed services, professional services, and turnkey solution. Let's take a look.
Like breathing, connectivity is a basic human need. That's exactly why the UN has declared internet connection a basic human right. Especially in times like these, connection is what makes us grow. It gives us meaning and lets us be a part of something bigger than ourselves, part of a nation. SpaceCom is proud to be a part of the effort to empower African nations to connect, and very proud to present Digital Community Platform, or DCP, a practical and sustainable solution to your country's digital transformation plans, including remote and less accessible regions. Combining connectivity, Wi-Fi, local cloud, content, and OTT in a simple and innovative way. Using SpaceCom's brand new and advanced satellite, Amos 17, specifically designed for Africa's needs, DCP provides a turnkey solution which enables a complete arsenal of services. Government services, health, education, commerce and payments, agriculture, and of course, home use and entertainment. DCP, Digital Community Platform. Scalable, sustainable, flexible. Available now for rapid deployment.
It is a pleasure to open this third panel and talk about practical ways to implement and enable communication to achieve country growth and resilience. As most of us already know, today more than ever, satellite communication is available, accessible, and affordable. It is truly the enabler of any economic and social growth throughout Africa. In this panel, we would like to focus on success stories about ways of funding a wide range of projects all across Africa and how, on the most practical level, we can use advanced communication solutions such as Spacecom's digital community platform to launch Africa to the next level. I'd like to welcome here in the studio Israel's former Minister of Science, Mr. Yizhar Shai, Spacecom's SVP Business Development, Marketing and Strategy, Mr. Ofer Asif, and Aryeh Shnai, Head of International Finance from Bank Leumi. Joining us from abroad, Ismaila Togola, CEO of SMTD in Mali, Yariv Cohen, CEO of Ignite Power, Ambassador Wol Meyer Aryek, Head of Mission and Ambassador of the Republic of South Sudan, and Ambassador Ababi Demis, Director General of MOFA Investment and Technology Transfer in Ethiopia. Yizhar Shai, hello again. I'd like to start with you. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hello, Lorraine. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So you have been a proud member of Israel's innovation and tech ecosystem for decades. Until recently, you served as the Minister of Science, and among the many responsibilities, you were also in charge of Israel's civil space program. What is the importance of reliable connectivity nationwide and communication as enablers for the development and success of science and technology, based on your experience in Israel?
Communications has always been perceived as a significant part of any growing economy, and definitely a modern economy. I believe that this last year was the ultimate proof as to the need and reliance on technologies and communications in order to enable coping with the various ramifications of the COVID-19 pandemic. As we have all seen around the world, communications was one of the most significant parts of enabling back to life communications, education, economy, anything that deals with the day-to-day activities of all of us around the world. Here in Israel, we also saw a proof and significant indications of the importance of communications, definitely as it relates to communicating with kids around the country, with people who could not attend physically to work, with people in the periphery of the country. All of these needs and many more were a proof that we rely more than ever now on modern communications, on infrastructure that enables modern communications, and definitely satellites being a significant part of that infrastructure.
So how do you see the connection between the establishment of human capital in science to the overall satellite domain in general?
Well, as we develop the technology and science into the next levels of enabling space communications, satellites included, definitely the reliance on human capital is becoming more and more significant. Here in Israel, we prepared a plan for the next 10 years where we put the various foundations of this infrastructure and education and preparing the next level of human capital of scientists, researchers, engineers, business people, all of whom will be connected together in this up and growing industry here in Israel, will be a significant part of the next level of preparedness for us as a nation and for the academy in Israel, the science and the technology, the infrastructure, the whole economy as it relates to space. Starts with educating, preparing the next generation to coping with the various challenges of modern communications.
Well, the world certainly learned a lot in the last year. I have to agree with you on that, Yizhar Shai. Thank you so much. All right, let's move now to Ambassador Wol Meyer Aryek, Head of the Mission of the Republic of South Sudan. He joins us now. Thank you so much for being with us today. Sir, Sir, thank you for being with us today. Let me just continue on to my question. How do you see the ability of Israel and South Sudan to successfully cooperate?
Well, the technology, the communication in particular, South Sudan is a landlocked country. So basically, the next set of opportunity would definitely be communication. And we are aware that the state of Israel is the high-tech company, the high-tech country, and definitely South Sudan would be able to benefit. We have cooperated with the state of Israel in so many ways, in agriculture, and in water management, technology, and also in all other possible technology communication system, in particular satellite. So we see opportunity between South Sudan and Israel improving and getting better. We are looking for Israeli companies and the government in order to build the capacities of people of South Sudan, in particular the youth and the girls in particular, because our population is actually based in rural areas. As you have already heard from our National Communication Authority Director General and then the Ministry of Higher Education, that there are huge challenges that are faced by a country like South Sudan, which is landlocked, and also issues of peace and security. So we look into technology and cooperation with Israel in order to improve the lives of people of South Sudan.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Ambassador. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, one thing coming very strongly from this event is that SpaceCom is leading a revolution that makes satellite solutions both high performance, multidisciplinary, and cost efficient. SpaceCom highlights the NationSat and the DCP digital community platform, which are both designed for rapid deployment. It seems like sometimes the decision-making process is taking longer than the deployment. Excuse me. Ofer, welcome again to the studio. Let me hear about this from your perspective.
Thank you. That's an interesting point, Lauren. Actually, when you come to think about it, the setting is there. The satellite is in the sky, it's in orbit, it's operational, and the implementation is fairly quick, as you might say, and the scale is there and easy. We talked earlier about the DCP, which is scalable and can be implemented quickly. Yet the decision-making could take some time, and I think that for me, the way that I feel and think about it is that it's a question of investment and financing, versus the outputs and the results that you gain out of it and the time spent to achieve these results. When you look at it, what we are trying to do is to lower the boundaries, lower the entry point with good and advanced technology, with efficient operations that will enable very cost-effective solution. And we top it with work with financial institutions and banks that will come to these projects that we are providing and leading, and combining together, I think that this will enable maybe to shorten the cycles and provide these leaders that decide about these projects to not just decide about them, I would say, in a more timely manner, but also to see the results more quickly and see the fruition of their programs.
What do you see as the top advantages of NationSat on the Amos 17 satellite for governments in Africa?
Okay, so, well, NationSat is probably a perfect solution for governments. It runs on the Amos 17 that we mentioned earlier, which is absolutely the most advanced satellite over Africa today. It's a powerful satellite, very modern, and it is located basically in the optimal position above the sub-Sahara, right at the heart of Africa. I think that when you look at, especially at Africa, you have large countries, sometimes a lot of non-urban population, you have large percentages of non-urban population. There is limited coverage, and I think that NationSat enables countries to take control, to place infrastructure of their own. They're able to control the whole infrastructure as a whole for civil and non-civil, homeland security or other government services, post office services, etc. And in the end of the day, they can run the programs that they wish to run in a very professional manner on a professional communication infrastructure. So as a whole, we are actually facilitating indirectly the growth and prosperity of these countries.
Wow. All right, Ofer Asif, thank you so much for that explanation. Really appreciate it. All right, Ignite Power is the fastest growing Pan-African developer, distributor, and financer of life-enabling technologies, providing customers across the SSA region with state-of-the-art solutions to their everyday needs. The company has already directly impacted more than 1.5 million people and created 3,500 local jobs with agents at 10,000 villages across the region. Ignite executes national-scale projects working together with governments to empower last-mile communities in the fields of electricity, clean water, education, healthcare, and more. Through its new medical project, Ignite is providing remote clinics and health centers with a holistic solution, tailor-made to the needs of remote medical staff. By combining off-grid solar systems, satellite-based connectivity, and advanced technologies powered by the solar system, Ignite enables governments to provide millions of people with improved medical services for the first time, leading Africa into a healthier, more sustainable, and inclusive future.
O projeto Ignite vai ajudar na eletrificação das zonas rurais periurbanas de Moçambique, com o objetivo de beneficiar 2 milhões de pessoas. A fase piloto é esta que estamos a lançar agora na província de Zambésia, distrito de Gilé, ajuda a comunidade em ter acesso a um recurso que é importante para todos nós, que é acesso à eletricidade, à iluminação.
Eu ficava no escuro, mas tinha painéis solares. Mas os painéis não conseguiam suportar até amanhecer. Eu quis colocar a energia solar Ignite, porque consegue mesmo suportar e sem baixar a energia até amanhecer. Consigo ter energia à noite, no quarto, na sala, assim como na sala dos estudos dos meus filhos.
Para comprar uma vela são 10 meticais e a vela ilumina por 4 horas. Ao passo que a energia da Ignite tem o custo de 17 meticais ao dia, então é reduzido. Se fizermos a conta, uma família que antes gastava em torno de 1.000, 1.200 só para iluminar, hoje usa 500.
Melhorei a vida, uso a energia à noite, consigo carregar o telefone, consigo meus filhos fazerem pelo menos a revisão da aula que estudaram na escola. Vale a pena ter a Ignite. Vale a pena.
Okay, let's move now to Yariv Cohen, CEO of Ignite Power. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Greetings from Dubai.
So, Yariv, can you share your thoughts about conducting such a solution for health, for example?
Yeah. So, as you saw in the movie, Ignite is the fast-growing provider of peri-urban and rural solar solution. We develop, deploy, and finance the advanced solutions that you saw that use the satellite communication. For us, solar power and internet connectivity are not the end goal, but the enablers, the infrastructure upon which we can develop and deploy all the advanced technologies that are that you can see. We started with home solar, and within 18 months, we connected 1.5 million people, then moved to solar agriculture, changed the landscape of solar pumping in Rwanda. And in 2019, we started working on design for solar medical systems. When COVID happened, we were ready. We install the system you saw in the video, so the ultrasound, the X-ray, the blood test. That's a picture from our clinic over there. And given that our solar systems are very energy efficient, we were able to add Spacecom connectivity to our clinic in Mozambique and manage the project. It actually took us less than 24 hours to add the connectivity to it, and we can do it anywhere. And our experience to what you said is that once you lose the cables, everything scales. So when we cut the power cables and connected 1.5 million people, it happened in no time. Now that we're cutting the internet cable, literally, we can scale, and this is the future of all health and all education, connectivity and solar power.
So today, solar power combined with premium satellite connectivity seems like the main solution for the major obstacle holding back proper education and health solutions from reaching remote areas. What is your prediction of the future in that regard?
So the main challenge on everything around is just that they don't have access to infrastructure, the power, the connectivity, the clean water. And what we are seeing now is that that's no longer a problem. That can happen, and that's just moving as fast as possibly can be. And that fast deployment, so it doesn't matter where the clinic is, you don't have to train the doctor anymore. It comes online from the satellite. You don't have to connect to power. You don't have to wait for the 4G to be. So what we will see is that most of the education will be moved to online, the same of what we saw in our part of the world, and now we're moving to Africa, and the same for medical. So what we expect in medical is that there will be a leapfrog from where we are today, which is basically 100,000 clinics that actually don't have any equipment, to fully advanced point-of-care solutions within reach to the whole population of Africa.
Okay, Yariv Cohen, thank you so much for joining us from Dubai. Okay, let's move now to Aryeh Shnai, Head of International Finance from Bank Leumi. Thank you for joining us, Aryeh. I hope I pronounced your last name right.
Correct.
Thank God. Okay. And then we've heard today from Spacecom executives about the opportunities to make a national project with an annual cost below $10 million. This is a breakthrough in terms of bringing new business opportunities into those countries. What is Bank Leumi's portfolio on financing projects in Africa for Israeli companies and for non-Israeli ones as well?
Okay. So Bank Leumi is active in structured export finance for the past 30 years, I believe. And so Bank Leumi is one of Israel's leading banks in this area. We've seen over the past decade a major shift of projects that we finance towards Africa. I would say from all applications that we receive today, probably 60%, two-thirds of these applications are for projects in Africa. And we shouldn't be surprised by that because, you know, today one of every four children that's born is actually born in Africa. And there's a huge population there, and population growth is going at high speed. And of course, all these people, they need to be fed, they need education, they need medical services, they need employment. And so there's a large demand for projects in Africa. And so over the past years, we have financed projects in Angola, in Zambia, in Kenya, in Senegal, in Cote d'Ivoire, in Rwanda, and many more to come. And we do it in diverse areas: agriculture, fish farms, poultry, water infrastructure, telecom infrastructure. All these areas we have actually financed projects in. And so this specific area of satellite telecom, satellite internet services is of special interest for us because, first of all, we believe that it gives a lot of help to development of human capital, and we see it will bring real economic growth to the countries where it's implemented. And that's, of course, for us as a financial institution, it's an important factor. We look also at our source of repayment, and when we see economic growth, it gives us comfort.
So what kind of financing solutions can Bank Leumi provide specifically for satellite service providers with African governments? Like, what are the advantages you can contribute to these projects?
Okay, what we envisage if we talk about a satellite telecom project, we envisage that payments will be made in two parts. First of all, there's the capital investment that you have to make to get the infrastructure and the equipment and the installations on the ground. And then there's the periodic service component that has to be paid as well for the internet services and for maintenance, things like that. So where we come in and where we can help is to finance the capital investment needs and to spread out the payments over a period. We finance projects up to periods of 10 years. And that's, of course, a way where you can make a combination of expenditure on CapEx and on OpEx and create the combined package that will suit the needs of the buyer, of the consumer in the specific country. And so we could do this as for financing solutions, we can do it basically in two ways. One way is what we call a buyer's credit, where we as a bank give the financing directly to the buyer, which would usually be the Ministry of Finance of a certain country. And the other solution, alternatively, would be to do it through indirect financing or supplier's credit, where basically we support the supplier to provide financing and spreading out of the payments over a period of time. And in both of these solutions, we would eventually rely on support from the Israeli Export Credit Agency named ASHRA that we always use as a backing to our financing. And whether it would be through buyer's credit, supplier's credit, each of them has got its advantages, disadvantages. But, it depends on the deal. You have to go into the details for that.
All right, Aryeh Shnai, thank you so much for joining us today. Okay, let's move now to Ismaila Togola, the CEO of SMTD. It is such a pleasure to have you with us today. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So, as a Mali-based government entity who is dealing with actual deployment in a large country and faces the needs from the market, what do you find to be the key elements for national level infrastructure to enable good services to the community?
Yes, so as you said, SMTD has the goal set by the government to deploy infrastructures everywhere in our big country. Mali has about 1,240,000 kilometers squares. And our main goal is to make sure that infrastructure, whether it's for broadcasting or telecommunication, is reached everywhere. So right now we are deploying our newest network for digital TV, and also we are deploying lots of kilometers of fiber optics. Now, the key elements to deploy such infrastructures in such a big country, in my point of view, are 4 key elements. So you have the security part, you have the electric part, you have the accessibility part, and also the manpower. When it comes to security, the country is so big that we have to make sure to take into account the security parts with all the infrastructure that we acquire and deploy. We have to make sure that once the infrastructure is deployed, that it's safe, whether they're human security or not, that the infrastructure cannot be vandalized. That's the first part. The second part is accessibility. Being such a big country, we don't have roads everywhere, but we have people everywhere. So we have to find ways to be able to reach those key parts where it's very hard to access. The third key element is electricity. Now, when you go to certain rural parts, electricity is very scarce. Even if it's available, it's not available all the time. So we tend to prioritize solar power, source of energy everywhere we can. So it's still a challenge. So we go with solar power generators, and wherever the national electric power is available, we try to combine all 3 sources of power. Now, the fourth element is the manpower. When I say manpower, is the qualified technician and engineers who can be everywhere. We have a growing number of people who are getting into our industry, and we're working hard to train more so that they can be everywhere our infrastructures are available. Yes.
Okay, Mr. Togola, thank you so much for joining us from Mali.
Thank you.
Okay, our final question, or rather our next question in this panel, is to you, Ofer. Let's bring you back into the conversation. So we've heard so much today directly from the African policymakers, from Tony Blair, and from international leaders. How is Spacecom's vision aligned with all that's being said and raised in our discussions today?
Okay, today we had great discussions, and we heard all the leaders that were talking about important things, their needs, their inspiration, the communication abilities that they wish to have to enable health and to enable education, to enable basic government services to all of their countries. I think that rightfully so, Mr. Yizhar Shai here have mentioned the COVID. I think the COVID have brought us all into an era that the idea behind digitalization is much more eminent and known to all. And the idea and the needs is much more natural, I think, for people. Africa has made, I think, a great advancement in recent years in terms of infrastructure, communication infrastructure as a whole. They made huge progress, and we see ourselves as a partners for these governments and as basically enablers to continue and drive this vector or this route to enable a faster and quicker implementation of infrastructure of communication in these countries. Mr. Togola have just mentioned about knowledge. So part of what we do is turnkey projects and BOT projects where we transfer knowledge over time. Since we're working over 3 decades in this field, we have a lot of know-how and knowledge. The DCP that we have been mentioning and the NationSat is doing exactly that for these governments and nations. And I think, that's the whole directions that we're taking.
All right, very interesting, Ofer. Thank you for that. Now, before we move on, here's a bit more about IMPROVATE. Take a look.
Like breathing, connectivity is a basic human need. That's exactly why the UN has declared internet connection a basic human right. Especially in times like these, connection is what makes us grow. It gives us meaning and lets us be a part of something bigger than ourselves, part of a nation. Spacecom is proud to be a part of the effort to empower African nations to connect, and very proud to present Digital Community Platform, or DCP, a practical and sustainable solution to your country's digital transformation plans, including remote and less accessible regions. Combining connectivity, Wi-Fi, local cloud, content, and OTT in a simple and innovative way. Using Spacecom's brand new and advanced satellite, Amos 17, specifically designed for Africa's needs, DCP provides a turnkey solution which enables a complete arsenal of services. Government services, health, education, commerce and payments, agriculture, and of course, home use and entertainment. DCP, Digital Community Platform. Scalable, sustainable, flexible. Available now for rapid deployment.
Don't forget, IMPROVATE is about making practical changes, exposing Israeli tech innovators to governments and companies around the world to promote businesses whose goal is innovation and helping countries further their development. The exposure right here at this conference is a first step, followed up with delegations and real business connections. Now, before we end this conference, I'd like to welcome again Dan Zaitchik, CEO of Spacecom. Dan, thank you for returning to speak to us once again.
Thank you, Lauren.
So CommuNication Africa 2021 was a very exciting event. Africa is ready to continue its advancements in the field of communication, and we all concluded today that it is the right timing and moment to introduce new innovative solutions. Spacecom is enabling countries to take over the African opportunity with its advanced satellite and digital community platform, the DCP. As the CEO of the company, no doubt you are excited regarding the future. How would you like to conclude this day?
I think that we had an excellent day. I think that, as we saw, we covered 360 degrees with different stakeholders. We saw the government perspective, the regulators, the suppliers, and also the users themselves. We understand that the challenge across Africa is real and provides a huge opportunity for companies in the tech, in the communication, but the most important is to bring something that will be scalable for first deployment to have the impact, and now it's accelerating due to the pandemic. So time to market is really an important issue, and for us, the solution that we introduced, the DCP, is covering this entire needs, and it's very flexible, it's very dedicated and very focused for the needs of the governments and for the nations and the people themselves. I think that it was a great day, and we are very excited to do this implementation and to have a real impact over the African community.
Great. Thank you, Dan, and thank you to all the guests on our panel today in studio and, of course, joining us from abroad on Zoom. That's it from IMPROVATE's and SpaceCom's CommuNication Africa 2021 conference. We've heard today from the Honorable Tony Blair, former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, distinguished ministers and ambassadors from Mali, South Sudan, Gabon, Libreville, Ghana, the Republic of Congo, Ethiopia, and Sierra Leone, and from our partners in this conference, SpaceCom. We also want to thank NationSat, Ignite, and Bank Leumi. IMPROVATE is all about access and connections, exposing Israeli tech leaders to governments and companies around the world to promote businesses whose goal is innovation. The exposure right here at this conference is a first step. The next step, delegations and real business connections. We want to thank you all for taking part and hope this is just the start of doing business together, making technology accessible to all and improving the lives of people across the world. Keep an eye out for IMPROVATE's next conference, CyberSec, presenting cutting-edge Israeli cyber technologies to the Gulf on February 11th. I'm Lauren Izzo. Thank you so much for joining us today. And that is all we have.
Sitting in a tin can.